Hello, hello, hello. It is that time again. Yesterday, well, this is part two. Let's just put it like that. So, in part one of Reasons to Have a Will, I shared 26 reasons why you need a will. So, I'm going to do a quick recap of those. And then I am going to give new information about wills. So, here we go. We're talking about 50 reasons to have a will. And I'm going to quickly start from one until we get caught up, and then we're going to take it from there and finish the day with the total of 50 reasons why you need a will. First of all, wills, and I'm specifically talking about in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Those are the areas that I service. Canada, United States, and Puerto Rico. So North America, in essence. Just about. So these are the top reasons why you need a will. The first reason is because and some of this may sound like a repeat, so if it sounds like something you've heard before, guess what? It's that important that it's repeated again in a different form. So the first reason why you need a will is to protect your assets. We all know that at some point we're going to pass away. So the importance in knowing that we're going to pass away is that you can plan accordingly. And because you're watching this video, that means you are of age to understand what I'm talking about. You may think, well, I'm just 18, I'm just in high school, I'm just, whatever your I'm just is the exact reason why this is important and why you can take advantage of it. Also, I want to make mention of this beginning on Monday, August 3rd, and every Monday in August, I will be doing a free series on wills. It's a 5-part series called Your Legacy Blueprint. It will cover some of what I'm covering today, but we'll go a little bit more in depth because I am just giving you the 50 reasons without going into details what each of them is. So, yesterday I covered the first reason why you need a will is because you have assets. You want to determine where your assets go and not have a court do it. The second reason that you need a will, especially if you have minor children, is so that you can establish the guardian should something happen to you. And again, death has no limits in terms of an age. It's not specific to older people. It's not specific to teenagers. It's not specific to 20-year-old, 30-year-olds. None of that. Because if you look in the obituaries, there are literally people of all ages who have passed away. And some of them didn't even know. But because we all know that we're going to pass away, then it's important to make sure that you prepare accordingly. So if you have minor children, a will protect to make sure that your child goes to where you would have it to go. The third reason is it reduces family disputes, fights. Right now, there are at least 2 nationwide cases of famous people who somebody's fighting over their estate because they did not plan, because they didn't think about it. Maybe they were so busy. Chadwick Boseman is one person. And if you don't know who he is, of course, he was the Black Panther. And he was married. His wife right now is the administrator of the estate. His brothers are fighting to strip her of that title. It's just a mess. So these are the reasons why you make a will. The fourth reason is so that you can save the stress of your loved ones. Again, I just mentioned the situation with Chadwick Boseman's wife. She's stressed out right now, I'm sure. But if a will would have been in place, then a lot of the stress could be mitigated. And that's not to say it completely is eliminated, but at least it's mitigated. The fifth reason why you need a will is because it gives you peace of mind. It gives the person peace of mind, your loved one's peace of mind. The sixth reason why you need a will is to distribute your assets. Oh, let me make sure. Okay, sorry, going back up. The sixth reason why you need a will is to include specific bequests. So that means you would like certain things to go to certain people, jewelry, heirlooms, and so on and so forth. The seventh reason to have a will is for charity. If you have money or something that you can donate to a charity. I gave away, in relocating across the country, I gave away over 400 books. I didn't pass away, but I specifically, well, clearly I didn't pass away, but I specifically donated them to a library, over 400 books, and they were good books too. The eighth reason that you need a will is for your minor children. If you have accounts set up for them, or if you have monies in your account and you want to make sure that they get it and you forgot to include it when you were completing those forms, where to add those, where to allocate those monies, and you can provide any monies in any accounts to minor children. The ninth reason is to name a guardian. Again, if you have minor children, you want to specifically name that guardian so that should something happen to you, rest assured your children are taken care of. And for those of you who have fur babies, if you include in your will where your fur babies will go, your pets, of course, because you may have a pet that has gills or something like that, so it's not a fur baby. But regardless, if you have pets, you want to make sure that those pets are taken care of. And the 11th reason is to settle any debts or taxes. If you have a will, you get those settled. And we can go into more detail in the training that I'll do or in the workshop that I'll do next month. Again, I'm doing a 5-week workshop on building your legacy, your blueprint, your legacy blueprint. And we'll be talking about in more depth about some of these items. So settling debts and taxes is one. It's important because you don't want monies that are in accounts to go towards debts or anything like that. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then for any accounts, bank accounts or investment accounts, you want to include that in your will. And this is number 12. Number 13 is to manage your real estate. Number 14 is protect business interests. Number 15 is to include digital assets. This would be a digital asset. Should something happen to me, I don't want it to just be out in cyberspace. I want somebody to be able to manage it, whether they shut it down, which will be on something that I would indicate, maybe, or if they want to keep it going. Number 16, to decide your funeral arrangements. Some people are like, yeah, make it simple. Some people are like, don't cry over me. And it's easier said than done. But if in fact somebody does not want a funeral service, guess what? The will indicates that that should actually happen. I have heard of people who, when their loved one passed away, they have a big to-do. They have a funeral service. They have all of this fanfare. And I say fanfare because clearly the person who passed away did not want that to happen. But if that is you and you want to make sure that it's just a quiet ceremony, or if you want it to be bigger, that's something you can decide in your will. Number 17, specify burial or cremation. Do you want to be buried or do you want to be cremated? These are items that you would indicate in your will. Number 17, 18, choosing the cemetery. If you want to be buried, do you want to be buried in the ground, so to speak, or do you want to be buried in a mausoleum? Those are all things that would be indicated in your will. Number 19, leave funds for education. If you have young people, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whoever, and you have monies that you want to donate or have allocated to them when they pass away or when you pass away, then that will be included in the will. Number 20, provide for your spouse or terms. Provide for a spouse on your terms. Be aware of that, to know that it's something that you can indicate. Number 21, avoid automatic spousal share. If that's something that you don't want, you can indicate that you don't want this to happen or you do want this to happen. But whatever your wishes are, make sure that it's not automatic, that there's an assumption, but that you indicate it in the will. Number 22, address estate tax implications. Again, if you're owing taxes on your estate, you want to get that all rectified in your will so that it again protects your loved ones. Number 23, minimize probate delays. There may be a delay in probate. Probate is court. Who wants to go to court? Nobody wants to go to court. So anyways, those are items that you add to a will. Number 24, prevent gifts from lapsing. If a beneficiary predeceases you, so say for example, you've indicated in your financial accounts that you want your beneficiary to, your primary beneficiary you have designated, but that person passes away before you pass away, then it prevents those gifts from lapsing, so you have to indicate that in your will. Number 25 includes a trust for specific needs. So now, and then we did talk about number 26, which is name a residuary beneficiary. I said it right that time. And that's the person or entity designated to receive the remaining assets of an estate after debts, taxes, and specific bequests are distributed. So now, let's talk about the remaining reasons why you need a will. Again, beginning August 3rd, that's the first Monday in August, there will be a 5-week series called The Legacy Blueprint. This will be your opportunity to learn about creating your will. Some of you may say, you know what? I think I have learned all I need to learn, and now I'm ready to make that step towards getting my will done. And I'll be able to provide that for you. So back to it. Number 27, you can exclude certain people from your will. You may say, well, what does that mean? Well, maybe you just want certain people to receive benefits or receive monies from your will. So how does that happen? You indicate it. You specify it in your will. You never know. There may be some long lost relative who may try to come in and take something that belongs to somebody else that you wanted to allocate to somebody else. Number 28, provide for your dependents. Now, maybe this is not your children. Maybe it's another dependent. Maybe it's a niece or nephew. But rest assured, or maybe it is an adult child. What you indicate, what you specify in your will for those who you want to receive from you when you pass away, that will be indicated in your will. Okay, number 29, you can ensure that sentimental items go to the right person. I have had these bracelets forever. These bracelets are older than my children. If I don't wear these bracelets, they may ask a question, Mom, where are your bracelets? Because I wear them no matter what. But anyways, these are sentimental to me. So I would not just not allocate these or specify who gets these. Maybe you have earrings, diamond earrings. Maybe you have something that was handed down to you. This is where you would indicate where it goes in your will. Number 30, you can include instructions on property management. So what does that mean? If you have property and you want to make sure that the property is maintained, you indicate that in your will. Some people are business owners. they would have to include that, and I'll get to that. That's in the 30s or 40s as I continue to go through this list. But if you indicate in your will what happens to property or what happens to anything that is of value to you, put it in your will. The next item, number 31, it addresses insurance proceeds. So if you pass away and you didn't already indicate on your insurance policy who gets what, then it's just going to go to wherever the probate court thinks it needs to go. So you address that ahead of time. So number 34, who's going to be your representative? You would name that person, that executor, in your will. If you have a will, more than likely you're going to have to name that person. We'll talk about the importance of that, but you need to identify who that person is. Number 33, clarify beneficiary designations. That means reviewing and updating legal instructions given by financial institutions or plan administrators. If you have some type of retirement fund, you need to make sure that that is indicated. Because when you pass away, and again, we're all going to pass away. I pray it's no time soon, but you need to make sure that that information is included. Because if not, then again, you're leaving it up to somebody else to make your decisions. Number 34, protect assets from creditors. What are creditors? Debt collectors and others. If you don't want your assets to be liquidated, to pay off your debts, you need to indicate what that looks like. So this is using legal strategies to shield certain property or certain funds from being seized or claimed, again, to pay off your debts. Number 35, provide for a caregiver, for a dependent. So you have a dependent. It could be a child, it could be a minor, it could be a dependent adult. You would need to be able to provide that. You, in your will, is where you specify who's going to, again, provide for this dependent. I said some of these will be repeated, and they're being repeated because there's some importance to it. Number 36, include a healthcare directive. What is a healthcare directive? A healthcare directive is a crucial legal document, and I just Googled this real quick, a crucial legal document that outlines your medical preferences and designates someone to make healthcare decisions on your behalf if you are unable to, if you are in a coma, if you are unable to communicate. You have designated somebody to make those decisions on your behalf. Make sure it's somebody that you trust. Make sure it's somebody who knows you well, because then they'll know what's best for you. In those healthcare directives also should be included a living will, which is pretty much what we're talking about. A medical power of attorney, a durable power of attorney. Clarify your wishes. Make decisions as you would make decisions. And then there's other things listed too. Now, this is really interesting. Number 37. Address any cultural or religious wishes in your will. Everybody may not have the same religion or the same belief systems that you have. You don't want anybody to make a decision for you that does not align with your wishes. So you indicate that in your will, which can tie into, and it'll be mentioned again here, which can tie into your final resting place or your final celebration of life, if you will. Number 38, ensure your estate is distributed per your values. Maybe you have multiple properties. Maybe you have maybe 2 properties shy of the number of children that you have. If you indicate where your estate should be distributed, properties, businesses, this is what I want to caution. This is not listed here, but this is something that I've always thought of. If you have a business, don't assume that your children want to take over that business. Maybe they don't have the same passion as you. Maybe they didn't really like the business Or maybe they're busy doing something else, and adding on an extra responsibility just would not be in the best interest for them who would already be grieving your passing. Make sure that you, before you assume that that person wants to take that responsibility, you ask the question, just in case. Okay, number 39. Avoid court appointed guardians. Why? Why would you avoid a court appointed guardian? Some of the things that I've already listed. Maybe they don't have the same values that you have. You just want to make sure that everything is spelled out in black and white. God forbid that you get a court appointed guardian who is not the best at their job. They took the job, they really don't like the job, they're trying to ease their way out of the system or into something else, and they don't really have the passion or compassion to handle whatever it is that needs to be addressed or taken over by a guardian. And then also, if you have a court appointed guardian, you lose control. Well, the family loses control a lot of times. So just keep that in mind. Court number 40. If you do have pets, I mentioned the fur babies or the animal babies or whatever you want to call it, family members. If you have pets and you don't designate where they go, they could be sold or worse, they could be euthanized because maybe they're older. But to prevent all that, you include that in your will. Number 41, a letter of instruction. This letter is instructions. I'm reading this. Is a non-binding document that guides your executor. So it's like a outline of what your wishes are. So it guides your executor on managing your estate, providing practical details and personal wishes not included in your will. So it guides that. And you want some type of letter of instruction so that, again, your wishes are followed. Number 42, a will provides for your family legacy, your family history. Some people have diaries, some people have journals. And what happens to those journals? Some people have family trees where they have these documents, marriage licenses, death certificates, dolls, other items that are passed down. Those are included in a will or can be included in a will, but you want to protect that. So include that in your will. Number 43, address potential family conflicts. I mentioned Chadwick Boseman. I know there was a situation with Aretha Franklin before she passed away, but they did find out later that she had a will. There's just, Malcolm Jamal Warner and his widow. That's another situation. So there's two entertainers, two famous people who didn't have a will, and they weren't old when they passed away. It just happened. And not to make it sound gory or anything like that, but again, we are all going to pass away. They just happened to pass away before they were able to get their will done. But you're listening to me, so let this be a reminder and also just a little nudge to reach out to me so that we can get your will done. Number 44, ensure your estate is handled by someone you trust. Can you imagine having a will? Just think about it. So you're no longer here, but you can see it. Let's just imagine that you can see what's happening. And you didn't have a will, and now there's someone who came in, maybe somebody who's very domineering and just has that takeover spirit, and they're just taking over everything. Maybe they have a title, maybe they don't. It doesn't matter because they've taken over your will or your estate, your assets, and that's not what you intended. So to prevent having that imaginary situation, you have a will, so then your estate is handled by someone you trust because you've outlined what they need to do. Number 45, Include a plan for your business. I mentioned that there may be somebody, maybe you have a business, maybe you have multiple businesses, maybe you have multiple properties. With a business, however, you need to, especially if it's a partnership, what happens to your share of the business? And that would be something that you can discuss with that partner, or make sure that there's some legal documentation. A will is included, but there may be some other additional information that's required, some contract, and I'm sure there may be stipulations in a contract, especially if it is a partnership or a corporation or something of that nature. Make sure that you have a plan for your business. And if you're a sole proprietorship or an LLC, or it's just you, what happens to that business? Again, don't assume that your family wants to take over that. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I know of someone whose dad passed away, and they were placed in a position, and I immediately noticed a change. And maybe it was designed that way. Who knows? Maybe God orchestrated it. But that person's demeanor changed who took over it. And I was like, And I don't know if they rose to the occasion or not. Nonetheless, if you have a business, make sure that there's a plan in place to get it taken care of. Number 46. Provide a specific location. When you pass away, again, burial, mausoleum, cremation, indicate what that looks like. Don't just assume that somebody's going to place you where you want to be placed, or even honor your wishes. I know when my dad passed away, he specifically wanted to be buried at a specific cemetery. In addition to that, he also wanted to go to a specific funeral home. And with that in mind, although his will disappeared, we were still able to honor part of that. Now, there's other parts of it that, it just didn't happen. But for the part of it that was within a certain realm of control, those wishes were honored. Number 47, include a plan for your digital footprint. What is that? That's creating a proactive strategy to manage and control information you left online. This would be an indication of that, or this would be an example of a digital footprint. Maybe you have other social media platforms. Maybe you have a LinkedIn account, or you have a Facebook account, or an Instagram. Maybe you're connected to WhatsApp or Snapchat, if people even use Snapchat, Pinterest, TikTok. There's so many different ways that we can put out a digital footprint. But say for example, you have an Instagram account. Hey, coordinated chaos. Thanks so much for jumping on and tuning in. So again, this is a digital footprint. And with a digital footprint, you don't want it to just fade away, or maybe you do. But in today's AI society, who knows what somebody can do with your digital footprint? Take that information and completely destroy it, and it's not intended for the purpose for which it was created. Number 48. 48 is address potential tax savings. If you have assets, because you have assets, if you have financial accounts, if you have debt, if you do not reduce the taxes owed on something, then that burden could fall upon your heirs, the people that you left behind, your loved ones. And to mitigate all of that, you indicate what the potential tax savings are by charitable bequest. Maybe you want to donate to the Humane Society or United Way or your church or something like that. Do that, so that will mitigate those tax risks. Number 49, ensure your wishes are legally binding. That's the purpose of a will, is to ensure that your wishes, a will is a legal document. It's reviewed by an attorney. You ask questions, you get those questions answered. You take it, you distribute it to those who need to know, the executor, and have conversations while you're alive and in your right mind. And when the time happens that you pass away, you pull out the document and it actually should be followed to the T. And how befitting for number 50 to be, it gives you and everyone a peace of mind. Although your loved ones may be stressed at your passing, think about how much less they have to deal with because you've already outlined in your will what needs to happen with everything that's connected to you. This gives you peace of mind right now while you're aware, but then it also gives your loved ones peace of mind because at that point you've already indicated what your wishes are. Again, so this is all 50 of the reasons. There may be other reasons. And again, beginning Monday, August 3rd, I will be doing a workshop on legacy, a legacy blueprint. It does not cost anything, but I'll go into more detail on wills so that you are prepared to get your will done. August is National Make a Will Month. Invite somebody out. This is free. I'll be doing it for 5 weeks. Every Monday from 7 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. And I will be giving people the opportunity to sign up so that they can move forward and get their will done and take advantage of the services. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this was a benefit to you, like, comment. Thank you for commenting. Coordinated Chaos. I appreciate you so much. And I know there were other people who jumped on as well. So thank you for your time. Again, loop back with me next week, Monday. I'll be talking more in depth and give a complete presentation on specific items in a will and just prepare you for getting your will taken care of. Thanks so much for joining in. Until next time, take care. God bless.